don't think we were talking about. They were talking about gun control and stuff like that, but that's not what we were talking
Well,
about.
we jumped in when we got to the point in agreement that it's not a gun control issue as much as it's a mental health issue. Is where we kind of started
Right,
on it.
but also, yeah, it's not a gun control issue. It's a mental health issue. But I think it's also um, a pharmaceutical problem. I think prescription medication is a
Can
huge
be.
reason
Yeah.
why mental illness is being more prevalent. You know what I mean? Showing there's more people with mental illness nowadays, and I think where did the shift come from?
Well, I
You know,
don't
where
even
did
necessarily know if it's that or if it's that mental illness is more recognized today than it used to be. You know, we know the signs and symptoms of somebody who's mentally ill.
true?
I mean, 100, 200 years ago, somebody had schizophrenia, let's say, or multiple personalities, and they were considered like possessed by the devil. You know, mental health wasn't even something that was on the radar. But, so I mean, it's always, as we advance in science, medicine, everything like that, of course we're going to see more occurrences when we know what we're looking for. But I think it's more, on that, there are definitely, absolutely people that need medications. Like
Yeah,
there are definitely
there are prescription
people,
drugs that work. Absolutely.
and
I'm not
yeah,
a. I believe that people are over medicated. But I also am not one of those people that are just like there just need no pills at all. Everybody.
yeah,
Like there is.
absolutely. It's
I don't
it's not
believe
one
that.
extreme or the other by any
Right.
means. But it needs to be a finer balance. I think that there's too quick of a tendency to immediately jump to medication as opposed to maybe other things, and not for everything. Some things
Right.
need drug intervention immediately, of course, but like I said, it's not black and white, not one or the other by any means. But I mean, yeah, the pharmaceutical industry, it should not be the multi-billion-dollar money-making monster that it is. I mean, we've talked about it before. I worked in a doctor's office,
Yeah.
and once a week we had a different pharmaceutical rep or drug rep or someone selling us, I worked in an orthopedics office, so someone selling us a different type of brace or something for our surgical center. And they come in and they buy us lunch so that they could sit down and talk to the doctors and pitch their stuff. So I
It's
mean,
just like a car salesman, just with the new. Now, was it? Did they? Was it a? Was it? Did they? How could I say this? Did they pitch multiple drugs, or were they just a representative for one drug, or were they a representative for one manufacturer of drugs that do all these type of drugs?
generally it's one specific medication.
So, like, say, everybody knows, like, you're saying that one guy, this is the Viagra rep.
Right.
Like, it only represents that blue pill.
Right.
He doesn't come in and say, oh, I represent Viagra or oxycodone and something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't mean it. So they're just, it's specific for that one drug they're trying to pitch to the doctors.
Generally.
So
I
that
mean,
the doctors start prescribing it.
Right. So that's something that's on their radar is, oh, this is something, and they give us samples so that we're able to give samples to our patients to get a feel for, how we think it works and everything like that.
And do you think they're just doing human testing? Are they waiting for feedback?
Well, I mean, it's not really that because anything that comes from a doctor's office like that goes on the market that way. It does have to be FDA approved.
Right.
So it's already had its human trials and everything like that. But I mean, it is definitely a long-term human trial. I mean, look at like opioids. When the pharmaceutical companies first started pushing like oxycodone and oxycontin and these sorts of opioids and things to patients, doctors were under the guise that it wasn't as harmful as it ended up being, that it wasn't this addictive monster that it turned out to be, that's caused this huge epidemic. Brooke, they were told that this was a viable option that helped their patients that were in pain, which is why the doctors, now granted, they were still meeting with drug reps and everything like that. So of course, getting their benefits from giving those medications out, but they were under the guise for a while that this wasn't harmful, it was a good thing for their patients and everything. So it is, I mean, it does end up being a long-term trial because we don't really know how that shit's gonna work itself out until we're like 10, 20, 30 years down the line of using it to see how it really does affect everything. Um,
I just think I also don't think I'm a big believer in. I remember being in Belgium. It was a huge. It was a big difference to, and it was such a big difference that I noticed it of watching TV over in Belgium, even local cable that I couldn't even understand or speak the language that they're talking about. Just having it there, like I never saw advertisements for drugs. Like
Yeah.
I never saw advertisements for drugs. I'm a huge believer that they should not advertise to the
No.
consumer what that hey, you should talk to your doctor about blah blah blah. You know, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be talking to your doctor about blah blah blah, thinking that maybe I should need this. How about the doctor already be trained on these things and he makes the decision as a professional to prescribe this? Not, oh, this is the new thing that's out, this is the new thing that I see. It sounds like the symptoms that I have.
Yeah.
Are you tired all the time?
The self-diagnosed, yeah, with something that could be
When-
a million different things.
When
yeah.
you do strenuous activities, does it make you breathe hard?
Yeah.
Well, yes, it does. Wow, I might need this. You know, when you first open your eyes, do you still feel tired?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to sleep at night?
That's a weakness.
That's not normal. You should not be sleeping.
Yeah.
Take these amphetamines to stay up 24/7.
So retarded. Like, they shouldn't advertise for that. They shouldn't, like, dude, why is it that the, what's the one, it's the one commercial that comes up where it's just like, there's a blanket holding on to her and it's about depression all the time.
That's like Lunesta. No, Lunesta's the sleeping one. It's one of the antidepressants or like the add-ons to the antidepressants, like one of the boosters for them.
I thought it was like, I can't remember what, Zoloft or something. I think it was like
It might
Zoloft.
be, yeah.
But like
Zoloft
just
is
watching,
that squishy ball that hops around.
well, they do a whole bunch of super different. Like one's just him being a hole. Like he's just a hole that you just can't get out of. Like every time you walk, he puts you in this hole. And I was like, just watching this commercial itself is depressing as fuck. Like, why are you trying to make me depressed? Oh, because you might have me thinking I'm seeing the symptoms that you could help, and I need to recommend it to my doctor.
And that's what I say. Like,
So
I'm
dumb.
definitely not arguing against medication for certain people in certain circumstances, and medication along with other things, therapy, you know, working through those issues and everything. But, you know, it's part of what we were talking about earlier is the lack of connection to other people and the lack of the sense of community that people used to have and everything like that. You know, that you had a support system, be it your family or your chosen family, your neighbors, you know, your physical community, your friend group, you know, it was just more, I feel like you used to have more of a support system, a village, so to speak.
That everybody pitched in and helped.
Right.
Did I ever tell you the story about the dead body, the girl who accidentally committed suicide? Super weird to say that.
Yeah.
Super weird to say that because that doesn't actually happen. But this was a legitimate case. I never told you the story about that in Alaska.
Oh.
So I was on a shift. It was me, Sarn Lures, man, I can't. His name starts with a B. It's like.
Billy.
No, it's not, we don't call each other by first names. Oh, this is Sergeant Billy. You know, when have I ever had a story where I've been like, this is Sergeant Aaron, blah blah blah, or Sergeant Chris? I've never ever had a story with that because that's not how we talk. No, you're out of your mind. You're out of my. Do you even know me? Do you even know? Jesus, babe. No, he was a good redneck backwoods country guy, and he just made his E5 or whatever. I just can't remember his damn name. So I was working a back gate, or actually the side gate in Fort Richardson, and we were getting ready to get off shift. So they were actually coming to pick us up. So the patrol soup had come down and picked me up from the gate. I had packed up, I was ready to go, got relief from my post. Somebody took my spot. I was hopping in the car, and they get a call over the radio that we need to do a health and welfare check. Any patrols, can you do a health and welfare check here? So Sergeant Lures actually picked up the mic and was like, yeah, we're near that. We were near that, so I was like, yeah, let's go hit that up. He's like, Cook, you down for, you down for doing that? I was like, yeah. So we go, and we wait for, we're standing outside, and it's locked, and we go and knock on the doors, 164th, military police, ma'am, announce ourselves, do the MP knock, 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 knock. No answer, no answer, no answer. So we call back, and we tell them that, hey, we don't have we're making no contact, nobody answering the door and stuff like that. We need to, can you send out somebody that has a housing key? Because the MPs have a key that gets signed out to, and it fits every single lock on post. Yeah, it's a master key for housing. Yeah. Like, there's obviously different sections, you know what I mean? But like this, the housing key works for every house. You know what I mean? So we were waiting for housing key to come show up, and it's usually a civilian representative that comes out and hands it to you, because it's somebody like, a lot of times it's the housing key is given to the group of the family readiness, stuff like that, which family readiness is just a group that makes sure that they check on, hey, how are you and Dan Bob doing? Cook, how's you and Dan Bob doing?
How's married life? How are the kids?
Blah, 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 blah. It's just that what we were talking about anyway, it's a check-in. It's an actual job that they check in and make sure you're doing all right in your off time. You know what I mean? Making sure that it's more of a community instead of, hey, you're alone.
Well, and that you have a sense of support, that there's someone that you could rely on if there was something going on,
Right. So, anyways, we go, we knock on the door, and we're standing outside with Sergeant Lewis. Sergeant, man, it starts with a, damn it, it's like Bledsoe, Butcher, Buchanan, no, not like that. Something, fuck, I can't remember.
Call him Sergeant B.
Yeah, Sergeant B, I guess. He comes over, we're standing there waiting for the housing key, right? And Sergeant Lewis has a real weak stomach. So we start joking around. We hear a dog inside. There's a dog inside that keeps coming to the door and coming back and barking and stuff like that. And I was in there, we were waiting for the housing key, and I was just sitting there talking to Sergeant Lewis, and I was telling him, yeah, man, I bet you they're dead. I bet you there's like a body in there. It's been in there for a week. I bet
dog's eating
I bet the dog's eating it, man. I bet you that dog has. I bet you when we go into the door, it's gonna have an arm in its mouth, and he's like,
the smell's just gonna hit you in the face.
He's like, Cook, shut the fuck up. He's like, Cook, shut up. He's like, and I was trying to get him to puke, right? I was trying to get him to puke while we were standing there on duty, trying to be professional as shit as MPs, and I'm trying to get Sergeant Lewis to puke. So when you walk in, so we get the housing key, we're like, okay, we're going to go in. There's three of us. I'll go ahead, and Sergeant Lewis said he would take point. So we walk right in. We open the door, and we're looking for the dog, because we don't know what the dog looks like. We have no clue.
Or how it's going to react to a bunch of strangers
what's going on,
into
right?
its house. Yeah.
So the call happened was, the reason why this whole call happened was we're living in Alaska at the time, and it's a soldier's wife. And the soldier is deployed, and she always like calls her parents back in the States. I don't remember where, like on certain days, like, or every day they talk or something like that. And then all of a sudden they didn't hear from me for like 3 days, right? And didn't hear anything for 3 days, and so they decided to call the MPs and ask if they can do a health and welfare check at the residence. And then when we get there, we actually see, like, there's papers kind of piled up on the outside. It's the stereotype, huh? Okay, that's so it's the stereotypical sit. Good girl, stay. So it's a stereotypical, like, oh, there's old papers sitting out here that you see in, like, crime dramas and stuff like that. So we knew something was up. We knocked on the neighbor's door. The neighbor answered and asked them, have you seen or heard from any of your neighbor or anything? It's like, usually I see her getting the papers, whatever, but it's been stacked up. So we had reasonable doubt that we needed to enter into this premise, into this
the property.
Yeah, but it's like they're housing, so it's just like, you know, you have your house and it's right next to another house, you know, stuff like that. But anyways, so we go in and the basement door is open, and right when we go in, the basement door goes down, and it's just a small little basement. So Sergeant Lewis and I push down to the basement while the kitchen to the left, Sergeant B covered, and we were just like, hey man, listen, if it's a big dog or anything like that, if we go in there and you see it, slam the basement door shut on us, and then you back out. You know what I mean? We had it all planned. He was going to block and try to keep the dog away, if anything. So we go down, and we
Brooke.
It's fine.
Well, I don't want her to go over to the painters when she's up there.
Yeah, she'll be fine. Easy, careful, carefuls. Good girl. Good girl.
You know, maybe
Good girl, good girl. You did good. Yeah, you did good. Okay, so comes out. It's just little tiny dog. It's really nothing.
Yeah.
You got stuff to carry in? It's a little teeny dog, so he like pets it. We clear the basement. Nothing going in the basement. So we start going through the kitchen, and then we start going into the dining kind of area and living room that leads to a second floor a stairwell right up there. So I go ahead and take point, and we're going up the stairs. So we're announcing ourselves, you know, man, military police, you know, blah 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 blah. You know, we're being loud and boisterous because we're going through somebody's house, right? So we start. We pull our piece, and we just have it at the low ready. We're just with our 9mm low ready, and we're walking up the steps, and the banisters right here. There's like a banister, so you come up the steps, and there's a doorway here, a bathroom. Yeah, doorway that went this way, a bathroom here. Over the banister was the main living room. There was a closet in the hall back this way, and then there was another spare bedroom back this way, right? So I come up over the banister, you know, and you have to clear all these angles real quick when you're point man. So you're like, you know, you pay attention. You have to clear everything before you see something and react while you're clearing rooms. So I look over the banister, and I see through their main bedroom, the bed right here, and then blankets, kind of in a scuffle, pulled up to like right here on the neck, and then I just see long brunette hair, dark is like black hair, brunette hair, just draped over the pillow like somebody's sleeping there. And when it clicked in what it was, you know, especially with us being, I looked back down to Sergeant B, and I was like, hey, there's somebody in bed up here. It's a female. And he's like, what? So I could see, and he can't see over the banister yet. I'm standing at the top of the thing, and I can just see over the banister. And he's down here, so he can't even see what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, man. I was like, so we clear up, and we're announcing ourselves. He's like, ma'am, you know, 164th Military Police Company, I need you to answer us. Move your hands. Man, you know, we're coming up, and so we're right there at their bedroom door, and so I was like, okay, we got to check. So Sergeant B goes up and touches her foot. It's like her foot's still warm, and he's trying to shake it, and she's not paying attention, or nothing's. She's getting no reaction. She's not trying to pay attention. She's getting no reaction. So I walk up to the front, and I pull the covers back just off enough to see her face, because I mean, I didn't know if she was naked or anything like that. And what if she wakes up and there's like 3 armed dudes in her room? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in a full, like she's just a super hard sleeper. So you have to be real, but you also have to be offensive enough that you can find out what's going on. So I pull the covers back, and you could just see it, just varicose like veins up her lip.
Yeah, the discoloration.
Whole just she's blue, and her lips were a darker purple. You know what I mean? And it was just You could just see the veins in her face. And I was like, Sergeant, she's dead. And Sergeant B comes back and checks pulse in her arm, in her wrist. He's like, I'm getting nothing, dude. I'm getting nothing. And I was like, and he sits there and and we're all doing this so we can't be on the bed. We're not trying to contaminate the area or anything. He's got it on her neck and she's pushing, and she's not getting nothing. And she's like, yeah, she's dead, bro. And so we back up out of the room. We back all the way up out of the house and secure it, and we radio up what's going on, and we just give a personal. We didn't want to announce anything over the radio,
right?
So we give a personal phone
somebody
call.
might know her or something like that.
Well, not even that. That's just like it's just a level of professionalism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this is going to have to do with something way higher up.
Yeah.
So, and I was already off shift at this time. You know what I mean? We just picked it up. We were actually getting off shift and going back to get off shift, and we decided because we're the closest, we'll just pick up on it. You know what I mean? We got it. Maybe the guys are getting ready for the new shifts. Maybe they're not all, guard mounts not done, stuff like that. Anyways, we go. And come to find out, the reason why what we found out while we were there, the reason why when Sergeant B touched her toe, she was still warm, she had a heated blanket on. She had a heated blanket on, so the blanket was heated. That's the reason why when she touched her neck was warm. And it was just weird that we couldn't get a pulse out of a super warm body.
Right. And that she was obviously not recently deceased. Like, she'd probably been dead for a little while if her discoloration had set in that hard.
Yeah, a couple days stuff. And, like, when he noticed, like, when he tried to get her wrist.
I mean, good thing she didn't last any longer.
Her wrist, like, when he tried to get her wrist pulse checked, like, he could tell, like, rigor mortis had set in and stuff like that. She was still stiff. So what ended up happening was she had an issue where I can't remember what it was called, but she was feeling pain all the time. Like, it was constant pain. And I don't know if it was just like I don't know if it was the late stages of like cystic fibrosis or something like, or MS or something like that. Something like, I can't remember. I can't remember the details there. But she was getting medication from the on-post doctors, going through her place where she's supposed to go through,
right?
Her health care, and they referred her to an off-post civilian doctor at one point. Well, she had these meticulous, and the reason why we found this out is because she had this meticulous write-out, this folder that we had found, this meticulous write-out of when and what time and what she's supposed to take with all these medications. She's
had a meticulous disease then.
Yeah, a real meticulous layout of exactly when and where and what to take and what blah 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 blah.
And when she saw them, yeah, that's a lifelong disease.
So come to find out, they the civilian doc prescribed her something when they didn't check the records of what the military doc did that would cross.
She had
had a cross interaction and would have a huge bad side effects, including death. Come to find out, before the husband deployed, she had started sleepwalking.
Is that a symptom?
And she started sleepwalking. Like, there was times when her husband would find her in the bathroom in the middle of the night trying to open her pill bottles, and she couldn't get them open because of the child lock. Mm-hmm. Well, he deployed. She ended up sleepwalking. She ended up taking her medication in her sleep, the ones that she wasn't supposed to.
Overdosed.
And it crossed with another medication that the civilian doctors didn't look at the records and still prescribed. Like, they should know that you can't prescribe this if you don't have this, right?
Well, and especially
if you have this already.
Especially without removing that medication from her regimen, you know.
Right. Or just calling each other's office and being like, hey, let me talk to the doctor that prescribed this.
Well,
or anything like
the whole thing, though, is, I mean, she kept that meticulous of a list of medications. I'm sure that she made her new physician aware of what medication she was taking.
Yeah, probably still did. But anyways, yeah, she sleptwalked and her drugs interacted, and she ended up fucking dying.
Yeah.
She ended up dying in her sleep. Don't know how. I think she was there for like 3 days. I think they said, where she had been dead for 3 days. Found out with and the bad thing, the fucking shit shitbag part of this whole thing is her husband's deployed. So they have to call her husband
Yeah.
while he's deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan, or wherever the fuck he was at, I don't know, and say, hey, we need you to come home.
Yeah.
So right there, they're like,
You know that's
right
bad.
there, they're like, wait. You know, you start acting, especially if you're a guy who's like, you know, a combat arms individual. Like you belong there. Like you earned your way to be here. In your this
Right,
is what
you've
you
not-
train. This is what you train for. This is your job. You're finally getting ready to do your job.
You've not done anything to be called home, so
Right.
you know that the only
So you
reason
automatically
you're
start
being called
asking. You
home-
automatically start asking. You're like, hey, Sarah, what's going on? Why do I need to get home? I'm not in trouble or anything. I haven't done anything wrong. Blah 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 blah. And you get that call that, hey, you need to come home, and then they have to sit down and tell you that, hey, your wife passed away, and this is what happened.
Yeah.
Super sucks. So he comes home. He comes home. Easy, easy. I think that might have been that frog. He comes home, and I drive down there in my Jeep. Like, I drove down there. I was in civilian clothes. It wasn't part of my duty or anything like that. I just knew that they were moving it out because I just kept tabs on what it was. He was moving. I remember him moving stuff out because he's not, technically, he doesn't have any kids. They didn't have any kids, thank goodness. But technically, he's not married anymore, so he has to go to the barracks. You don't get housing anymore if you're not married. You get plenty of time to do what you need to, but ultimately
but
you need to
even
move
still,
out of housing and go to the barracks. Whether
Like
you put
your wife
yeah.
died, move out.
Yeah, like you have to. Like
That's,
you can't
that's
be.
something you definitely want to do when you're grieving the
Yeah,
loss
if you're
of your loved
if
one.
you're a single soldier, and you know.
And I mean, I understand
He's
that.
moving it out.
You know, I
Right.
get that. They save the housing for families and stuff like that. But
And plus, they can watch you more than you sitting at your house by yourself drinking yourself to death. But anyways, I met him and I was like, hey, man, I was a specialist. Yeah, I was a specialist because I wasn't in Sergeant Lure's team until after we got back from Afghanistan. I was like, hey, I'm a specialist cook. I was a first responder on finding your wife, and I just wanted to stop by and tell you and give my personal condolences. Personal, like, I believe that's a thing that needs to, because I couldn't even imagine. Like, it sucks that I went through that and had to go through all of that, you know. And the thing is, I can't remember that shitbag squad leader we had. It was Sergeant. It started with an L. He had a big old buck tooth. He was the dude. I hated him. He had like 300 kids. I swear to God, he had like it was like 20 some odd kids. It was ridiculous. He just would not stop breeding. And
I know people like that.
and that was not the type of person that you wanted breeding.
That's
like,
always how it is.
He needed to evolve. You're making too much of you. You're
It's
retarded.
always, yeah,
You're stupid.
always how it is.
You're dumb as hell. Like, you need to.
The people whose
Yeah.
children would contribute to society
Yeah.
aren't having children.
Like, I can't remember his name. I used to make fun of him because it looked like he could floss with 550 cord because he had huge gaps in his teeth or whatever. And he was dumb as hell. I couldn't remember. He was just asked what happened, and then we just went to work the next day.
Yeah.
And then when, like, months later, when the higher command found out that that's how that happened, and they asked all three of us, like, you guys just went to work? He's like, yeah. They didn't give you any personal time. You didn't
Like,
go
no
see, like,
counseling,
you didn't want to go
nothing?
talk to, like, anybody, a therapist, like the
Not even
chaplain.
offer
anything.
it, yeah.
Not even offered, like, nothing. Like, we went straight
Like,
back
hey
to
man, you can
on
take
patrol.
a day off.
Yeah.
Like, take tomorrow off. I know it was a rough night. Nothing.
They didn't do
yeah.
that shit. They didn't do that shit.
It's 'cause
And
they
I
don't
understand.
care
And I
about
understand.
you guys.
Understand that it's like I was like, that's a shitty fucking situation that happened to me, but I still felt remorse and I still felt terrible knowing
Grief on his
behalf because I know the whole thing that he's going to go through.
Right.
Like I can see the steps of what's going to happen
the loss
and how.
that he's experienced.
Not even that,
yeah.
just the situation that he's in that's
Yeah.
going to be way worse than what I'm dealing with. You know, so I came in and I just wanted to, I wanted to say something. I felt like I had to say something. So I stopped and talked to him and I said, hey man, I told him the whole ordeal, and I told him I was a first responder and I just wanted to give, you know, I gave him like my cell phone number and I was like, if you ever need to like talk or anything like that, or you want to just go get a beer or fucking whatever, man, I'm here. Like, I felt terrible that I had to deal with first responder, and I still feel terrible that you had to deal with the fact that you lost your wife while you're downrange. Like,
right.
Jesus Christ, that's the last thing that you would think was going to happen. The most forethought is I'm going to die down over here.
Right.
Like, that's the main thing.
I'm not going to come
or
home
I'm gonna get
to my
maimed
wife.
or injured.
Yeah.
Not, hey, you went deployed to this dangerous thing.
And now my
you,
family's
and
in danger back
and your
home.
family's dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my fucking God, that was terrible.
Yeah.
That's a shitty fucking situation. But how I tie it back in and where I got onto that tangent was the fact that the pharmaceutical drugs that get pushed onto people without people looking out for the best interests of their patients, and not see them as a consumer, see them as patients. Like, I want to make these people
Right.
think. But you also got to think, holy shit, the overload that's on a doctor
Right.
to see that many people. That dude gets tired.
Right.
He's going to get tired. He's going to get cranky. He's going to get pissy. He's going to have a bad attitude.
We also have an issue now that, seeing one doctor for multiple things really isn't common anymore. You have
They're getting
different
into
doctors
specialists
for different things.
And I think that's a good thing.
It is, but there needs to be a connection. There needs to be
absolutely.
some sort
They
of
need to talk to each
nationwide
other.
network
Yeah.
where your charts are
Just a
accessible
doctor
to
net.
other physicians.
Just a doctor net where you
through
could
doctors.
where you could sign in with your credentials
And
and
access
just double
that
click
individual's charts, all their information of any
and
other
just double
physician
click
they've ever
that
seen.
double click that fucking doctor that has a little thumbnail picture
Right.
of them and their name, right?
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I'm seeing so and so. I noticed that it was your patient.
Let's confer.
I want to. This is where the route I want to go with
Uh-huh.
this. Do you have anything, or do you see any? And they could be like, hey, she might not be telling you about. She's on fucking blah blah blah.
Right, and just to be able to exchange that information, because now we have.
Which we
people
do have
treating
that. You have emails, but it's not a centralized thing that makes
Right.
it super easy because they're also way overworked.
Right.
Like, they need something that's
Well,
super easy.
and not even, I would say, not even the ability to communicate. Bruh, come on. Not even the ability to necessarily communicate with another doctor, but the ability to be able to access that patient's universal chart, of every medication they've been given.
Oh, I'm sure they might have that, don't
not
they?
really. No,
it's
not
not
unless
centralized.
No, not at
Oh,
all.
I imagine the patient has to update it herself.
No,
or
there's nothing
themselves.
like that that's accessible to all
Really?
doctors across nationwide sort of thing. I mean, there's things like within hospital programs.
That's what it is in the
and
Army.
doctors' offices that work because it's one unit.
Yeah.
No,
I
but
mean in the whole Army.
Right, because it's one unit.
Yeah.
But
well, there's a million of us.
it's they're not connected. Hospitals that are related to each other or sister hospitals might be connected and share information, but on a grander scale, it's not nationwide accessible like that.
Right.
So you have doctors that are treating a part instead of the whole because they don't have the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's the only way. So working in an orthopedics office, we prescribe pain medication and stuff like that to people, broken bones and everything. And the only way that we knew, if this person had other prescriptions for pain medication and stuff like that, if they hadn't told us about it, was the pharmacies would tell us. Because the pharmacies have nationwide networks where they flag individuals. So the pharmacies would send us faxes, and they'd be like, hey, patient so-and-so came in with a prescription from your office for this medication. We just wanted to let you know that they're also receiving this pain medication and this muscle relaxer from this doctor and this doctor. Do you still want us to fill this for them?
Yeah.
And, if it's something where it's like, yeah, we're aware that they're taking that, it's for something unrelated, we wanted to give them something a little more, then we'll say, yeah, fill it. But it also helps us say, oh, we were not aware of that they just had 2 Percocet prescriptions from 2 other doctors filled in the last week.
Well, let me cut this. Sorry, we had to move. Super hot. We were getting blasted by the sun. I am drenched in sweat.
Yeah, you're sweating pretty hard. I
Yeah.
saw that pretty much as soon as we started.
Yeah. I just.
So now deck stuff's gonna fall on us.
Oh, that's alright. It's a lot cooler underneath here.
Yes. Yeah, we had to resituate.
Super hot over there. It's nice though. I love to sit down on the patio.
The weather's
Hang
good.
out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I need to. Let me do this real quick.
background noise?
There we go. Work in progress. Work in progress. I think, I don't know. Like what I was saying before, I was like, podcasts are becoming very popular on YouTube, and I think it's going away from, which I'm super happy. It's going away from like the stupid Vines compilations and stuff like that. Even though there's that type of people there.
I mean, that's fine, but substance is nice sometimes too.
Yes, and especially when you can get people. I guess the audience that I would like to attract is the type of person who can, pay attention to something for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not even. I mean, I get that people are busy and they can't find the time to sit down and do. I completely understand that stuff. Like I'm not.
But we should strive for our content to have some substance, the content that we're watching and consuming when we do have time, because I think that is part of the problem, is people fill their lives with a bunch of garbage.
and just you can see it, like we see it nowadays, like people who just can't get off their phones, like they will invite you to come hang out, and then you guys hang out and sit there on your phones the whole time, like you're just. So
Yeah.
you invited me over
just
to look at phones together?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of that sometimes. I definitely catch myself on my phone in social situations and have to, like, check myself and be like, no, put your phone away. Like, don't do that.
Yeah,
I think there is, like, an addictive level to technology.
100%.
Definitely. Just
100%.
like anything else. It can be abused and addictive and unhealthy on certain levels. And I think everyone's guilty of overindulging in some stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I think you just gotta have. I put checks and balances in what I do, and like I'm 100% happy that I don't have a cell phone bill. You know what I mean? And that there's only certain ways that people can get a hold of me. Like that. One saves me money because I'm a frugal son of a bitch. I get that. Don't like spending money for shit. But in the other sense, I think if I had more access than my phone is allowing me now, I think I would catch myself super overindulging. And like, it's why I'm glad when we go to like parties and social events and anything like that where we're supposed to be interacting and socializing with people. Like my phone doesn't work.
Right.
Like, so I don't have that escape and escape of I need to have something to talk about or find something to talk about, or just walk away from the. You don't have to. It's weird. You ever have that feeling where it's like you walk into a circle of people in a party of some part and you're just like, I don't really want to be here anymore. Do I just walk off? Do I say something and walk off? How do I do this?
Yeah. How do I remove myself?
Yeah, how do I remove myself? You know what? That's weird thing about it. That's what I loved about smoking cigarettes.
Was like leaving.
I always had an excuse,
an
out to everything.
Yep, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is definitely
like
a bonus. Like, well, I'm gonna go smoke.
Yeah, like, or you could get your friend out. You could be like, or babe,
exactly. Like,
babe,
hey,
you want to catch a cigarette?
Like, yeah, catch you in like an awkward situation. Hey, babe, you wanna go smoke?
Yeah. Something
you
like
can
that.
still say that even if you don't. Just lie.
I don't know. That was always a weird. That's one thing I miss about smoking. But I think it also makes it so that I change the way I talk to human beings and in being more forward. Like there's times where I'm just like, well, I'll just be like, okay, I'm going away now. And I'll walk away and be absolutely fine, especially when I got beers in me. Especially when I got beers in me or something like that. I am 100%. I think it's funny to be that blunt. Like
I think it's funny to be awkward and make other people feel awkward. I like to walk out of a circle on the note of like, well, this is weird, and then just walk away.
Like you want to say that it's like you want them to think that in.
Yeah, I
Wait.
want to make it awkward.
Oh, you want them to think this is a weird
Yeah,
situation.
this is awkward. Like, that was awkward. Well, how is this? Why is
Is
this
that you
weird?
flexing awkward power?
Yeah. Like, it can never be awkward for you if you're busy making it awkward for everyone else.
I guess, but then how do you even make friends?
Emily.
You just find one.
Well, we always joke, well, because Emily's such a social butterfly, that all of my other friends are because of her.
How?
Because people meet me and they're like, oh, I don't like her, but Emily likes her and Emily's real nice, so I guess she's okay.
Oh, so you...
And then I grow on you after a while, I mean, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure,
It's
yeah.
not convincing.
Huh?
Like a fungus.
Yeah.
Rude?
But... Yeah, like one of those half-conjoined twins that still have a full set of teeth. Like that kind of
like
grows
one of
on
the
you.
tumors with hair and teeth. Yes.
Yeah, that's when you know it is still a little bit human in there. It's a little bit human in
This
there.
was supposed to be another person, for
Yeah.
sure. My body's trying to grow other people.